So John, before our break, we talked about you crossed the Rhine in September, right around the same time that Roosevelt had died.
That's right.
And so, I mean, were you under the impression the war would be over in a matter of months, or what were you thinking at that point?
Well, now I have a little story to tell about Worms, Germany.
Sure.
We got there and we found out that it was a wine center, Worms, Germany was. So we decided to go out and confiscate some wine. So we went to a winery. Well, it was also, it was underground, and it was, on top was wine, but the deeper you went down, like it was 4 stories, it was champagne.
Wow.
So we went down the 4 stories and started getting the champagne. Well, there was another fellow and I went, and so we started, and I had my duffel bag, and I had put half a dozen or a dozen bottles in the duffel bag, and then carried them out to the truck. Well, we'd get out to the truck and we was a little exhausted, so we'd drink a bottle. Then we'd go back and get some more. Well, by the time we went down about 3 or 4 trips, this champagne was taking effect. And so we were in Worms, Germany, and a part of the river had run through there, and so the Americans had bombed all of the bridges except one in the town that we had come across into. And so we started back for camp, and we forgot which of the bridges that was still available, so we could drive down a block or 2 and the bridge was gone. We kept trying that till we finally found the bridge, but in the meantime, the streets were all bombed with big shell holes in them. And so under the influence of champagne, I got too close to one of those and it jerked the steering wheel out of my hand. I went into it and out the other side and hit a lamppost. Knocked the lamppost off. Well, also it knocked the hoses off of the radiator, and I lost all my water. So I got the hoses back on, and then I had no water. So there was troops that were passing through there with trucks, and so I tried to get them to stop, give them some water, but they wouldn't do it. So then I held up 2 bottles of champagne, and they stopped and gave me 10 gallons of water.
I got your water, huh? Yeah, that seems like a fair exchange.
So,
that's funny.
But the next morning, we got back to camp then.
Yep.
The next morning, the officer called out the whole outfit and found out that the whole outfit was under the influence.
Right.
And they couldn't find anybody to stand guard, and the Germans were right across the river. So, consequently, we got a good lecture, plus we had to turn in every bottle we had. And I had 40-some bottles in the back of my truck.
Wow, that's too bad. Wow.
But but that's one of the experiences of war.
Yeah, really. So the Allies were making a lot of progress, the latter part of the summer, until the Germans counterattacked in December. Can you kind of give me your situation once the counterattack occurred and what became known as the Battle of the Bulge?
Well, we, of course, moved up to, I don't remember the town that we spent in December. Seems to me it was right at Christmas time. We moved up there and we stayed in a bunker right beside a big bridge. There's this river there, and I don't remember what river it was either. But then the shells started coming in. The German shells falling, and it was boom, boom, boom. And so we spent the night there. Well, the next day we had no armament or any defense, so we moved back. About 25 miles
Wow.
that we moved back. And it was then, during that time, that we stayed with these German people that I told you that had the house and the barn and the storage and everything was one long building.
Okay.
And we would help the kids do their work.
Right.
Well, it was then, during that time, we spent, I think, almost a month at that time. Because it took I forget, it was about a month, the Battle of the Bulge.
Yeah.
See, that was Hitler's last big stand that he made in his defense. It was either then or never.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so we spent it there. Well, then we spent time doing whatever. We, in fact, that almost ended my career right there, because we decided to go out deer hunting one day, and it was snowing quite hard, and we got into we were surrounded with forest, big forest, and we started hunting. Well, there was two other guys, and we got separated, and then I kept moving forward, and I seen some fresh deer tracks through the snow, you know, and I thought, well, I'll follow them for a ways. And so I did, and then all at once I realized I'm disoriented totally. I don't know where I am, I don't know my direction, and the snow had covered my tracks, and I thought, I had no idea where it was. I didn't know the direction of the camp. I didn't know any direction because the snow was coming down. And so I thought, well, the only thing I can do is pick out a marker and follow that so I stay in a straight track. So I did, and I walked, I don't know how many miles, but it was a long time. And finally I came to a road, just a small road. And I thought, well, this road's got to go someplace. So I started walking, and pretty soon a vehicle, army vehicle truck came by, and they stopped, and I told them my story, and they said, well, we know exactly where your camp is, because we're going that direction. I was going the opposite direction. And so they took me back to camp. Otherwise, I don't know where I'd have been.
Yeah, you could have been a German prisoner of war.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. But you know, I thought I could keep track of directions and know.
Sure.
But you can get disoriented and not know where you're
yeah.
at.
That would be brutal.
So then, but in the meantime, I had we needed more vehicles for to haul our equipment with, and so I found a truck, a German truck, but the engine was shot in it. No, the engine was bad. So then I looked around, and back down the road there was a half track that one track had come off, which hadn't hurt the engine, so I pulled the engine out of that and put it in the other one, and got it going again.
So you put a half-track engine in a truck, and everything
Yeah.
worked?
Well, it was the same engine.
Oh.
You know, most of the vehicles, or a lot of them, were Ford cars, the same as ours were.
Oh. Okay.
Their equipment would fit ours. And another thing is that, like ours, one key fit everything. You didn't have a bunch of keys, or the wrong key. If you had a key, you could drive anything. Well, this is another time, an incident, that we ran short of trucks, transportation. So I went behind the enemy lines, or up to the enemy lines, and I stole one of their trucks. I had a can of white paint with me and a brush, and on each door I painted a big star, and on the middle of the hood I painted this big star, and took it back and used it for transportation.
You're lucky you didn't get shot. You know, it's funny, John, because you were awarded the Bronze Star, and on your citation, one of the things it talks about is the fact that in order to move all this telecommunications equipment, tons and tons of gear,
Yeah.
you had to adapt enemy
You had to improvise.
enemy vehicles, like what you're talking about
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, he did. And yeah, there's different ones that German trucks did, but you'd paint the big star on them to identify
Right.
our military. So that kept us rolling.
Yeah. So, John, we were talking before. The 92nd went through a number of German cities: Frankfurt, Bamberg, and several others, I'm sure. Tell me about the German people and your interaction with them and how that played out.
Yeah. Well, first, I was telling you before, the German people as a whole, outside of the military, weren't friendly, but they weren't unfriendly. We weren't threatened by them.
Okay.
And so you went about your duties, and you were many times in the midst of different German civilians, but you weren't jeopardized by them.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, there's times, well, when we got to Dachau, that's when we went into, and Dachau had fallen, and the Americans had taken over, but we were follow-up into it. And there was a train backed into the building where the furnaces were, and it had, I would say, 4 or 5